So Ballon d'Or votes are revealed. Now we discuss. First of all, I thought that Rodri was winning because there were many Real Madrid players and they were cannibalizing on each other's votes. This really happened at the end. But my other suggestion was that Rodri was always on top 5 and Vini wasn't always in the list. Maybe. That's why I thought Vini wasn't winning. But in the end, it wasn't like that. I have to talk about it because some of the votes are crazy. We have to discuss what happened really with the Ballon d'Or votes. First of all, please hit the like button and I'll start. Rodri won the Ballon d'Or, as you know, with 1170 points. And here comes Vinicius Jr. with 1129 points. So the difference is only 41 points. I am saying only because it's a little point margin. You will see why it's very little. And first of all, I need to explain how the voting works again. Then we will look into the reporters' vote because, you know, there are 100 voters jury and it consists of football reporters. As you know, Jude Bellingham was third with 917 points. Carvajal was fourth, fifth, 550 points. So there's a huge margin with the top 3. It decreases to Erling Haaland 432, Kylian Mbappe 420, Lautaro Martinez 402, then Lamine Yamal in the 8th position with 383 points, and then from 8 to 9 it decreases like 90 points, and then another 90 points to Harry Kane, and then we have Phil Foden, Florian Wirtz, and all others are under 100 points. First of all, to understand how these points calculated, we have to look at how are the reporters selected. In FIFA World Rankings, top 100 countries are selected, and from that 100 nations, they select one reporter for each country. And every reporter has to rank 10 players from 1 to 10. The first on the list gets 15 points, second on the list gets 12 points, then it goes like 10, 8 points, 7 points, 5 points, 4, 3, 2, 1 respectively. This means that being in the first in every list makes you gain 3 points margin to the one in the second. That's why being on top 3 is very important. Also being on first is very important. And I kind of find it fair because otherwise if you just make reporters pick only one player, there will be like 5 player names at the end and none of the other will get any points. I think this is the fair way, but if you have any other suggestion, I'd like to hear it in the comments. So as we understood the point system, we have to look at the reporters' votes, because I just checked all 99 reporters ranking list. I'm saying 99 because Syria didn't attend, so that's why from the first 100 countries there's no Syria but all the other countries in the FIFA ranking. The results were very surprising to me because I thought that Vini became first in the lists more than Rodri. However, Rodri was given the full 15 points by 49 journalists, including those from England, Germany, Portugal, Italy, and the Netherlands. Vinicius was top vote for 35 members of the jury, among whom were the representatives of France and the players native of Brazil, as well as US Director-in-Chief Alfredo Relano. So the Spanish newspaper didn't vote for Rodri, instead they vote for Vinicius Jr. And then Jude Bellingham, who finished third, accrued 5 number 1 votes from the journalists representing Georgia, Namibia, El Salvador, Scotland, and Slovenia. Just remember Namibia and El Salvador because their votes are crazy. And then Carvajal had the first place for 4 times, Kroos had it for 2 times, Mbappe, Haaland, Lookman, and Martinez each were the first on the list only 1 time. And one interesting note that I could find was in 43 occasions, first 2 in the list were Rodri and Vinicius Jr. And from those, 26 of them had the Rodri in the first place and Vinicius Jr. in the second place. And the rest, 17 of them, was Vinicius Jr. on the top and Rodri in the second place. This means that almost half of the reporters were convinced that Rodri and Vinicius Jr. were the 2 best players by far. And if you calculate the first place, Rodri had 49, which is almost half of the votes, and Vinicius Jr. had 35, which is almost 1/3 of the votes. And if you add them together, 84 out of 99 votes were dedicated to either Vinicius Jr. and Rodri. So I believe that there was no racism, there was no any problem with one of the players, and no one was told to vote so. So I believe that it was a fair competition, and it's of course a subjective voting, not an objective one. But if you want to see the objective results, you can check the players' ratings on SOFA. I leave the link below in the pinned comment, because when you check the SOFA ratings, you will see that Rodri had over 8 points during the Premier League season, and Vini was not good in La Liga. But if you compare them in Champions League, of course Vini was above Rodri's performance. Also, if you compare them in the international level, you will see that Rodri was better off. At the end, we also learned that all the reporters had to write 10 players in the list, because just after the Ballon d'Or ceremony day, some of the lists were leaked, and in those leaked lists, we saw that there were only 3 players in one list, and some of them had like 5 players and some of them had 10 players. So at first we thought that the reporters didn't have to write 10 players, but in the end we learned all the votes were full list. I'll just put the votes from last Spanish newspaper, but the quality is not very good. I think it's 145p quality, and it's really hard to find. But if you just search us Ballon d'Or results, I think you will find it easily. You have to look closely because the quality wasn't that good, but I sacrificed my eyes for you guys. So in 99 occasions, 3 of the reporters didn't vote for Vini, not in whole list, and 5 of the times reporters didn't name Rodri in the lists. So we have to look into those. The first one, which didn't contain Vinicius Jr, is Finland, and the list is very interesting because he had Florian Wirtz, Declan Rice, Lamine Yamal, William Saliba and Ademola Lookman on the list, but not Vini. I think this Finnish reporter either forgot Vinicius Jr or just he doesn't like Vinicius Jr, I don't know. And also in Namibia's list, Vinicius Jr is not there. There's Xhaka, which is interesting for me. In El Salvador, there's no Vinicius Jr, but it's a crazy one. I'll get to this one at the end. For Rodri's case, Bolivia, Carlos Enrique Rivera didn't have Rodri in the list, but Lamine Yamal, Valverde and Ruben Dias were on the list. So I'm not sure how didn't Rodri get there. And in Bahrain's list, Abdullah Ashur didn't have Rodri in the list. Again, Lamine Yamal was on the list. Foden and Xhaka was also on the list. In Colombia, Rodri wasn't there either. Saka, Kroos, Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal was there. This is very interesting for me because the Spanish guys Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal were on the list, but Rodri wasn't. And Rodri got the Euro's best player performance, right? I don't get this one. Also, the reporter from the UAE didn't have Rodri on the list, but he had Ademola Lookman on the list. Also, if you wonder who voted for Ademola Lookman in the first place, was of course the Nigerian reporter. But the one with Haaland is interesting, I'll get to there. And Lautaro Martinez one is interesting because it's not from the Argentine reporter. And also in Panama's list, Lamine Yamal was second, Olmo was fifth. I'm emphasizing this because they are the Spanish guys, but Rodri wasn't on the list again. And for me, Bolivia, Colombia and Panama, they're all speaking Spanish. I thought that they would love Rodri, but no, they don't like Rodri at all. And there's one interesting list, as I said, El Salvador. I think this is the craziest one. I'm not sure if you are going to complain about this guy because Vinicius Jr is not on the list. And the first place is Bellingham, second, Erling Haaland, third is Toni Kroos, fourth is Lautaro Martinez, in fifth place there's Dani Olmo, sixth place Hakan Çalhanoğlu. Even the Turkish reporter didn't vote for the first place in Çalhanoğlu but named him in the third place, not like the Nigerian guy. Seventh place Rodri, finally we have Rodri but no Vini yet. Eighth place Florian Wirtz, ninth place Phil Foden and 10th place Ruben Dias. And there is no Vinicius Jr in El Salvador. It's crazy for me. I cannot comprehend this. Please explain me this in the comments. And there's the South Korean one, which is also crazy because Haaland is in the first place, Mbappe is in the second place, then Rodri comes 7th, Vinicius Jr comes 8th. I think some of the reporters thought that they are going to name the players they like. But in the end, they have to calculate the player's performance, team's performance, and the sportsmanship. I don't think some of the reporters were aware of that, but I'd like to see your lists from 1 to 10 in the comments. Thanks for enduring me until this moment. I hope this video was explanatory. If so, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.